All right, let's do this. It is Friday instead of Thursday. Jasmine's schedule changed a little bit yesterday, so we just swapped days. So we would actually have an evening where we overlap a little bit better than usual. So that was nice. Wound up watching some Oppenheimer. That was pretty solid flick. Very pretty. Well done. Nuclear explosion was a bit, I don't know, underwhelming though. Spoilers. But yeah, so let me clean my glasses. I meant to do this earlier, then I'll see who came in. I'm getting some new glasses soon. That'll be nice. And also looking at, I meant to go by there today and give them the thumbs up on the PC glasses. So I'm going to have one pair of glasses so I can see far. Then I'm going to have another pair of glasses that I can wear during the day so I can not strain my eyes as much looking at the monitor. It may not seem like it sometimes, but I do spend a pretty significant amount of time in front of my PC in a given week. So it takes a toll on my old ass eyes and my old ass, to be honest. So Longilla. Hello, XV, Sneers. Like even right now, looking over at this other monitor, it takes a little while for my eyes to get. There's a slight blur, and then it'll start to get sharper over time. So Sneers, Florane, Chaz Solo, Liz Biscuits, Tsunami-san, Coot, Thadvik, Quixana, Gunnawolf, Bulork, Cinerus, Pattis, Doggeroni, Sarinth, Luke Hammer. Liz says that's why they make varifocals. I talked to him about bifocals. The problem with bifocals is the looky part for the nearsighted would be on the bottom, so I'd be like I'd probably have a crink in my neck given my shit ass monitor set up here. I'm gonna try something new tonight. I've been avoiding energy drinks for a while, but you know what? The other night kind of got me on the kick again. So I'm going to try this because it's Friday and I need energy. I'm tired. This is a Monster Energy Nitro Cosmic Peach. Let's see if it tastes at all okay. Is it nitro because it's fizzy? Ahem. Old school never had a second monitor. I could have sworn I had like two. No, I had like one monitor and two machines when I first started on like EQ with what are the switches called? Hey, Dark Inside. What's up, Zukin? It's good to see you in here, Pattis. To reiterate with Zukin's sentiment. Bet it tastes like fuzzy peaches. It probably does. Fuzzy, fizzy, same thing. You got a Dr. Pepper, zero sugar. I just saw somebody had somebody had posted like a picture. You know the generic in the US? KVM switch, that's it, Matthias. You know the generic like different sodas you can get when you live in the US, especially in the South. We had a Swanee Swifty where I lived. And or if you go to like Winn-Dixie, they have the different flavors. Somebody had posted I think it was a Professor Spicy, I think, instead of the Dr. Pepper. It might have been, that might not be real. Maybe some highly inappropriate meme that I just repeated. I don't know. I just saw it on like Instagram, was like, oh, that's funny. Because I remember it was like Mr. Snappy or something like that was like one of our generic. You know what? Actually, Dr. Plopper. King Swipe, thank you for the follow. King Swipe says, hey, huge fan of what you're doing. Watched a ton of your VODs first time on stream. Was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about caravans or pack animals. If not, where would be a good place to garner some? So there's probably some discussion in Discord. If you search around our Discord, you'll find some stuff like that. But I can... so caravans are a little more on the unknown side at the moment, right? Because there's definitely some implications there that we're going to have to look at. I was just thinking about like the implications of there being like, what happens if all of a sudden everybody can afford a wagon and you go to an area like right outside a dungeon or something, or your zone line, and there's just freaking just wagons piled up everywhere. That might be so we'll play with that one. But pack animals we have in. We've got a system that allows us to put different rigging on our mounts. And so right now we have a horse. We're working on a donkey. You'll see that in the update. Shit, I actually need to start gathering materials for the update because it's almost the end of the month. And what you'll see is like if you got a mount, you can do like a rigging that is more saddle riding focused. And so you may only have a couple saddlebags and a saddle and you can ride. Or you can have a pack animal setup where it's basically a rigging that's just like a pack rigging. And so then you've got a lot more storage capacity. You can hold heavier containers or certain container types, and so you can pile a bunch of stuff on them. And so with the pack animal, it's kind of like, oh man, what was it? They even made a movie, Jason Statham. Why am I blanking on the name? Didn't you have a, like, I remember playing that a bit, and you have the ability to have like a donkey that you could walk with. Not the transporter. Why am I blanking on the name? Fantasy game. Got turned into a movie. You'll say it in a second. You guys know these things every time instantly. I'm just waiting for you to say it. Romeo and Juliet? No. Super Mario Brothers, the movie. CAD. Dungeon Siege. Dungeon Siege 2? Wasn't that the one with the donkey? Didn't you have like a sort of animal that you could lead? Or am I making that up? Was that not a thing? I don't know. I might be making that up. Anyways, you can lead. You can. Okay. Yeah, I barely remember it. I don't know if I just didn't play it very much or didn't play it or what. But anyways, you can lead an animal around and it allows you to have much higher storage capacity. And so King Swipe, you can use that as if you want to be a traveling merchant or a research not a research. Excuse me. Resource gatherer. And so then we're going to factor that into like weights of ore and other materials and your ability to carry all that stuff. And so that's the idea with pack animals. Caravans are essentially the same thing. Now we have the ability with caravans to have like PvE or automated or NPC caravans that are just sort of regularly traveling, similar to ships. And then you can hop on board and you can potentially pay to get those loaded up. And so you can move stuff from one city to the other city, whether that be your personal effects or things that you're selling, etc. How will ports work with pack animals? At the moment, there are no ports for pack animals or mounts. Somebody asked earlier if players can like basically hop on and zone out. Yeah, that's one of the things we're looking at as well. So you can just hop into caravan and just have it go. Caravan or wagons may also be useful for carrying dead mounts. Your mount can die in this game. It leaves a corpse. I think Chip might have made them draggable, but they really shouldn't be draggable. Sorry, I'm scrolling up now. Anaraku says, what time is it for you? It's only 8 p.m., but I get up at like 5:30 or 6 every morning with my wife, and then my day kind of starts around then. So starting a stream at 8 and then kind of going through 11, I mean, I'm 50. Liz said, my problem with bifocals is the line. I have varifocals as well, and I have 3 plus 3.5 reading prescription. Oh, wow. Yeah, I think mine's only like +1 on top of my, you know, -4 or whatever. One note on resource bags. They should get priority when those type of items into your inventory instead of filling over other slots. Oh, that makes sense. We'll have to look at that. Sorry, I'm continuing to have that cough. Kingswipe said, huge for good tolling then. Love me some fantasy life trucking. We're hoping that it turns into a thing, honestly. It's stuff like that where people are like, hey, I log in. You know, one of the coolest guilds is Dial-A-Port. If you've been on P99 or whatever. It's just trying to create an opportunity for there to be more non-combat content for people to engage with, and in a greater variety of combat types, right? So that's why, you know, we're not a solo focused game, but there are opportunities to solo. The game works really well with duos and trios. Then we really want to push like there being a nice reward for people that are in full groups or near full groups and delving deeper into areas or being in sketchier areas. And as we work on the zone, we can even populate a little bit with that in mind and kind of talk about what that looks like. And then, yeah, we just want to put in a lot of shit. Like, again, people look at some of this stuff and they go, oh man, that's tedious. That's tedious. You're putting in these tedious things. EverQuest didn't do this. You're trying to make EverQuest but more tedious. And I understand the feeling. I understand what you're talking about. Like, we've played EverQuest, so we understand the delta. But we're trying to put some of this stuff in to see if we can create these opportunities for different player types and to create a situation where it feels more like a world. Because we, you know, more than anything, like, dude, everybody should be able to progress. And here's the thing, it's finite. You're going to be able to beat the game, maybe. You know, some people may not. If we've got it tuned really well, in my opinion, if it's tuned really well, there'll be people that maybe really, it takes them a long time. I don't want to say struggle, but it is a big commitment for those individuals to hit like level 60. Whereas other people can min-max, get up there, blah, blah, blah. And there's going to be content that certain people can't necessarily engage with, right? Like they don't have a, you know, good enough social network or whatever. Like, those things are not bad to have in. Like, not everybody should be able to kill every monster, see every little bit of content, because some things have to be aspirational. But on the flip side, we want to make sure there's a lot of shit for people that like just want to be in the world and have this be their third place, which hopefully everybody feels that way. Because if the game is just set up to be like beaten, okay, then you beat it, then what? We need to make it so that people want to be in here, and there's a lot of like little just things to discover, and there's a lot of opportunities to be in here and have it still be worthwhile. So it's like some of the little silly shit, even things like parlor games and things like that, they're important. I'd love for us to be able to get at least 1 or 2 in before EA, and people be like, why are you putting your energy in that? Just because you go into a tavern, it's a social space, right? It's some of the stuff that we're doing with like the buffs and ends and in taverns, right? It's things like, yeah, having to transport your stuff because banks are city specific, right? And so having to move your stuff from one city to the other because you want to use that as your primary base of operations moving forward, right? Like, Yeah, I understand the merchant thing. We've debated that enough, but there's a reason for that. It's so that like every little merchant along the way isn't the only merchant you ever need, right? We are trying to create the opportunity for depth here, and if it sucks, if we get this stuff in, you guys are playing it, you're not engaging with it, it's just, it looked good on paper and it's shit. Guys, a lot of the things that we're putting in, the only thing it cost us is the time to get it in, the housing, the mounts, everything that we're doing. If we find that it just doesn't work, a lot of this stuff is like we can change it pretty quickly with, you know, a script, SQL script or SQL, depending on where you live, to update some stuff. So yeah, anyway, King Swipe said, well, as a footnote, you guys are seriously so inspiring. It is such a rarity to see love for the game and true passion. Thank you for all of your hard work, and by extent, every member of your amazing team. Hey, thank you for that, and thank you again for popping in and for the follow and for being nice. Do you remember when Kurt Schilling was put into EQ2? Can Jason Statham be put into Eminem, please? If Jason contacts me, we'll talk, and then I'll talk to the team. And now, you know, he won't be called Jason Statham, but I think Zukin can probably paint him like one of his French girls and get him in. Hey, what's up, Simon? And Raku said, Robot, my wife initially complained that she couldn't find the right vendor to sell to, but in only 2 days she learned her way around the city because of the need to find the merchants. She got so into it. Great way to encourage exploration, etc. That's awesome. I love that story, and I love that you guys are playing together. I'm gonna find a post that I shared with the team from Reddit that I thought was a really cool kind of encapsulation of some of the intent here. So let me find it really quick. Where did it go? There we go. And then let me open it here. Cool. I'm going to read this one real quick for us, because that way I'm not always starting on like a negative, people are complaining about blah 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 kind of shit. So let me take a sip and then I will read it. Excuse me. And before I start this, and again, this is also one of those things where when we talk about stuff that we would love to add if we were successful, it's not just more content. That's why we want to add more hairstyles and more faces and more customization options for you, and more, right? Like more parlor games, more to the game that's already there, instead of just always like new, moving you away from kind of the game that you logged in and loved initially. So I'm going to read this really quick. Zombo in Reddit posted this, said, thanks for posting this. The map is really cool to see. And then a quote here from my post that said, if you don't like exploring and learning new zones, then you may not enjoy the rest of the game either. And then he said, I think this is really the core of the issue. It's not just about learning new zones, but learning in general. I've only been able to play M&M for a few months now, but the overwhelming feeling during that time was something like, wow, there's so much to learn. I've been playing EQ for a long time now and have a pretty good handle on it. And M&M is very similar in a lot of ways, but there is still so much to learn. Unlike EQ, I've deliberately been avoiding guides and help like a wiki. It's kind of like me with Stardew Valley. I still haven't beaten it because I very, very rarely will look something up. So it's been amazing, even just wandering around town, stumbling upon the bank, the bathhouse. Well, hey, trainers for skills I didn't expect. Farming? Question mark, question mark. I did hear about the vendor buying thing, so I was prepared for that. I actually found some of the right vendors before I even found the shady one. Bags are also a good example. I happened to see some pretty expensive bags on a vendor, which was a little discouraging though. As I looked around, I found more options. I ended up buying a few cheap crafting containers from the shady vendor, but I also found some comments somewhere about quests you could start that give you containers. And it was sort of a flashback to the early days of EQ. Knowing where to get free bags makes your life easier and gives you an advantage. Same with knowing where to sell loot. Knowing where quest NPCs are, knowing which weapons and armor are good value. More than any game I've played in a long time, in MMO, knowledge is power. Learning is rewarded. To me, this is really what sets MMO apart, even compared to Pantheon, let alone modern games. A lot of the enjoyment comes from just learning how the world operates and how to play. To me, old games rewarded and prioritized learning in a way that new games actively avoid, with things like tutorials, in-game instructions, and generally forgiving gameplay systems. It seems that most people don't particularly enjoy it though, with steep learning curve used as a complaint rather than a compliment. And I think you're getting complaints about some of these specific issues because many players don't see these particular areas as something they should have to relearn. Learning about new mobs, new loot, new abilities, all that stuff is fair game, but being able to sell to every vendor is seen as a sacred convention that should not be violated. It is even a fair argument that EQ let you sell to every vendor, though early UO didn't. Similarly, with dropping spellbooks on death, recovery from death seems like something people already learned how to handle from EQ and don't want to relearn. I think a big part of the issue is that for many EQ players, at least in my experience, the raw mechanical grind is everything, and anything that gets in the way is seen negatively. EQ's game design certainly encourages that attitude. M&M seems to be going beyond EQ in terms of making a more immersive world with more in it than just grinding mobs for experience and loot. But it is an uphill battle. Personally, I love this stuff, including the vendors, so I hope M&M can continue in this direction. I like it. It's good stuff. So. And that's, again, at least he is happy. We have one. There are literally dozens of us. There are literally dozens of us out there enjoying the game. I need to update my stream, like my stream deck and all that stuff. I need a little button. I need like a little. Wouldn't the kids like it when the memes pop up? Dozens of us. Some F's in chat. Some things. I need to update my stream to be better. I've got the gamer chair. I've got the energy drink. Where are my buttons? Dark Inside, you can absolutely roleplay as a homeless guy in town. We allow that. Enaraku said, I love that post. The best part of a game is the beginning mid for me. When I'm excited about upgrading from 4-slot bag to an 8-slot bag, feels good knowing I can still improve. Much better than in-game grinds where I'm trying to improve by small increments. Not sure if I'm making sense. Yeah, you make absolute sense. You're making absolute sense. So, all right, so we're in Scarwood. Let me show you around. A little bit of work has been done off stream again because it takes too long to do all of this on stream. It would it'd take a bit because I'm much slower when I'm streaming. So sometimes it feels like a lot of people are annoyed to learn things in games nowadays. Well, but it's interesting. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, we may find that this is not correct, so we will learn as part of this process. But it is possible Hey, Tithe. It is possible that, because people will point to the success of a game like EQ back in the day, or UO's numbers, or even early WoW. You can point to the early 2000s era games and say, hey, that was a subset, so that was a small player base. And now if you make these things even more challenging or more tedious or whatever, then you're going to get a subset of a subset. And that's fair. We could. EQ was the #1 MMO before, in the West, at least in America, before WoW hit the scene. Excuse me. And then WoW just sucked the air out of the room, right? And EQ had 450,000, 500,000 subs max. People say, Tsunami-san said, yeah, EQ, there also didn't have voice comms and social media, so you had to interact. I don't believe that's... I think there wasn't social media, so it was a good place for D&D nerds to get together. So I accept that, right? Like, it was essentially a gathering point for a certain type of nerd. And so we gathered there, right? But the thing that I think people then underestimate is the total addressable market in 1999, 2000 to 2004 even is people, and that's the other one. The problem back with EQ and WoW is there's also only a handful of MMOs out. Well, if you go back and look, there's actually I would say there's probably as many MMOs that were kind of up and coming in that period as there are MMOs that people want to play now. And you go to any of the places where people make that argument, and you're also going to see 10 times as many people talking about how there's nothing to play right now. I don't want to play any of these MMOs. I don't want to, right? So we can always make the argument, well, but there's other stuff you could do with your time during now that you couldn't do then. Well, but there was other stuff you could do with your time then. The question is, of the people that want to do this kind of shit with their time, what does the basic total addressable market look like? And when I first got to SOE, we had people whose the only thing they'd ever used a computer for, like you would see them in customer service, you would see them in calling up tech support. The only thing they'd ever used a computer for was EverQuest. There are people that had bought their first computer, absolutely bought their first 3D graphics card, right? There are people that were buying their first computers to play EverQuest. And if we had the data, if I had to guess, WoW saw that exponentially so, right? So I say nerd lovingly. Doug Roney says, I wouldn't call my dad nerdy. He was a county worker, biker, Navy guy, volunteer, firefighter, and was way into EQ. Yeah, I say nerd is a loving, like, we are all nerds. I had a fucking skate park, right? Like, I had gotten out of the Army and had a skate park in Dothan, Alabama. All I was doing all day was skateboarding, right? Like, and so I look at it as like, we definitely got hit by the nerd bug pretty hard, because I'd always like gamed on and off, even in the Army. We ran around and got like the first week in 64, like we went everywhere in DC to try to find one. And you know what I mean? Like, there's always some game systems and like Super Nintendo's always present kind of thing. So yeah. So, and I know Doug Roney said, oh yeah, I'd call him a nerd now too. Yeah. Just to clarify, because I didn't want anybody to think I was like saying, talking shit. Obviously, I'm into this sort of thing. So, but what to try to make a short story less long, the total addressable market back then was small. A couple million, 3 million, 4 million, until you saw that really start to grow with, right? Because if you look at that era, Diablo is like, probably 2 million units sold, Diablo 2, StarCraft, right? Everything was in a couple millions. And I'd have to look. I mean, maybe, obviously if somebody's maybe a better follower of the industry than I am or whatever, you could point to the data that kind of shows exactly how big the potential PC market was. And you could probably find it on ChatGPT for me in like a minute. but the industry is so much bigger now, right? Like we have games or products out there where you've got people in their teens and below. Like if you look at a Roblox, you look at a Minecraft, you look at the number of people that have played Fortnite, all these things. And I understand some of these, are cross-platform, blah, blah, blah. But you can look at the actual PC numbers on these. And you're looking at, and people are converting from console and phone back to PC. Like the death of PC is highly, highly overstated. And we're starting to finally see that again in the data. But like 5 years ago, 10 years ago, for sure, 10 years ago was like everybody needs to turn their PC gaming companies into mobile companies. And now PC gaming is like coming up again. And what's happened, I think, is consoles especially have converted people into PC gamers. I was talking to the representative from MailChimp. Like we use the MailChimp mailing service. And the guy that contacted me from MailChimp was like, hey, can we hop on a call? I think I can get you a better, rate or blah, 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 based on the number of people that you have on your mailing list now. Cause we're like at I think over 8,000, close to 9,000 people on the mailing list. And it's like, and so we hopped on, and he's an American working out of Ireland. And so we just chatted for a bit. I told him about the game and all this stuff. And he was just like, he was vibing on it so hard. He thought it was super cool what we're doing, the approach and everything, even if it's not his kind of game. He's more of a shooter fan. But he said like he switched from console to PC. He's like, I bought my first PC last year. It's so amazing. Right. So I think what we're seeing is, there is that opportunity for people to transition. And again, I think our the thing that we've tossed out there since sort of the beginning, and this was based a bit on my working on some pretty niche games. The 2 projects prior to this was, if you make a unique enough experience and it's not shit, and it, and there is a market there, it's possible to build like a core that is hopefully pretty steady, and then it gives an opportunity for other people that are maybe looking for different unique things to try it out and go, oh shit, this is actually what I'm into. And I think a lot of people, they're looking for something that is a bit more unique and a bit slower potentially, and something where they can come and be, and not, it's not as like fast paced and crazy and mechanically challenging and all that stuff. And will have like persistent value, like the game's not going anywhere. It's not, just dying or whatever. There's enough people there to make it worthwhile. It's like, how many times a year for the last 10 years have I thought, man, I'd really like to just sit down and get into Eve. Because Eve is just one of those games, and always has been. Eve was one of those games that just grew and grew and grew, right? Like the spreadsheet in space is kind of where it started. But that was perfect. And the game that the project I was on previous to this was a similar thing. An online horse adventure game for girls. It's an MMO. Super niche. Started out with tens of thousands of players in Sweden. And the last peak I heard was 750,000 monthly active users. Right? So, and for us, a solid win for us is a steady 30,000 subs. That's huge for us. A solid win for us is if we were somehow able to hit like 50,000 subs and stick it, that'd be massive. We have a business. If we can do that for, a year, 2 years, we have the money to flesh out the game. We have the money to build our business. But we'll be happy. If we get a few thousand was always our target. If we get a few thousand and that allows us to start paying at least some of our people a little bit, and then we can keep grinding and growing the games, and hopefully people will come back and check it out or hear about us in a year or so, right? I think the team is prepped for the idea that, we go out and we either start small and grow and we keep putting in the work and we make something we're proud of and it's got enough content and it's big enough that people stick with it, or we come out and there's a bang and then it drops off and it hits a long tail and then we keep grinding and see if we can grow that again. So yeah. Horse girls are hungry as fuck for good games. I know my girlfriend is one, and the market is super bare overall. There's another one being worked on right now. I know a couple of the people there. It's kind of like Star Stable, but it's like a more, I think, adult feeling, kind of like crime adventure mystery game. That's being worked on right now as well. I did not check out eFrontier. Girls that like horses or want to be horses, they kind of are one and the same sometimes. So we put a feature in Star Stable. We found out because a lot of the girls were, because of the average age was like, depending on the country, kind of like 12, 13, 14. The girls that played Star Stable like to tell on each other a lot. And so they were telling us the girls were hacking the client and making videos. And they would send us links to these videos of them hacking. And what they were doing is they were going into the client and renaming or deleting the player models. And so the player models would not appear on the horse. And so the horses were just, that way they could play wild horses. And they would get together like 4, 5, 10, 15 of them, like no joke. They would do that, and then they would film videos, because one of the things the girls that play Star Stable really love to do is just make videos and like little TikTok videos, and they made content, right? So they're always doing like little dressage things where they're all like marching and doing stuff synchronized and shit like that together. So they were modifying their client so it would just be horses, so they could run around as wild horses. So we put in a wild horses feature for them on one of our like Passion Fridays. We made it so that you could just click a button and it would turn your character off so you could be a wild horse. I think if you stick with your original vision, you'll keep the most loyal population base in gaming. I mean, it would be nice. Florian said, my wife's first gaming experience that she played, Wild Horse Island, Roblox, was a horse game that our nieces like playing. Now my wife is interested in other MMOs. That's fantastic. And again, that's what I'm saying. Like, and there's a misconception. Like at our office, I think I've said this before. A lot of people believed that the girls that were playing Star Stable were playing wildly different games. And then we did a lot of like professional surveying and polling and gathering the data. And it was like, what were they playing? The girls playing Star Stable played Roblox, Minecraft, GTA 6, Fortnite at the time, right? This was years ago. So I do think that we'll, hopefully see some people trickle in because they're looking for something different in this way, right? And I also see there's also a lot of like even on like the subreddits for MMORPG and the subreddit for looking for MMO and stuff, I'm seeing an odd number of people going, hey, I'm looking for something that's a bit slower, I'm looking for something that's more social, right? And we see you guys are social. You're super social in OC in game, right? Like whenever we do a playtest, you guys, maybe you're talking in Discord and stuff as well. Maybe you're hanging out in other areas. I think some of you are absolutely like streaming and talking to your stream chat and all this other stuff. But we see a ton of communication in game. Your dad works at Variant Interactive. Your dad used to work at Vera Interactive. My first paycheck, my first few paychecks were from Variant, and the rest were from SOE. Let's look around real quick so I can show you some of what's gone in since we last looked. Is there anybody in here that's not familiar with what we've been doing here? Your dad may be lying, Nulak. I hate to say it. Hate to create family drama. Dreamed it is not playtest day. Do you keep that stuff for posterity at all? I've got a warehouse. I've got a storage room in, no, I don't have any pay stubs or anything. I have a storage room in Texas still. And I've got some of the old stuff in there. Do not hold your breath until playtest. All right, so let me bring up my Brave browser kept showing me this picture. It was appropriate, so I grabbed it. I'm still watching. Let me switch over to my other account so it doesn't do that thing where it's constantly asking me if I'm still there. Switch over. Loop. Perfect. Yeah, play some DDO or EQ or... Yeah, we want to do a lot of stuff in our shop. We definitely want to have a lot of good merch. All right, so just super fast recap for those of you that are absolutely new to this. We designed a zone from scratch. If you go back to, well, I mean, the VOD will be Scarwood co-development or whatever stream. Development 1, and you'll see we started with empty boxes and you guys came up with all of this stuff. We refined the ideas that you gave us. We turned that into this map as we went. We handed over the map to Nicodemus, Bill, and he created a nice pencil map for us. Got with Bjorn to start talking about elevation. Pink is up, brown is flat. Meanwhile, Bill was penciling or penning it in, inking it in. Then he, where did I put it? I think I put it up here. Then we ran around and got some time so we could make adjustments to the scale of the map. And meanwhile, he colored it in. And then Bjorn took it, started to 3Dize it, made it 3D, and then got it into World Builder. We gave him some feedback for adjustments, made it 20% taller, 35% wider, kept things like the ravine proportions the same, reworked the lake. So he did this. I went in then since then, and I have gone in since then and done even more work on the lake, streams, basically a lot of terrain modification. And started propping. So we've made the lake deeper. And then over here, much deeper. Then that gives us some room to put ruins in and other stuff. Cloth map possibilities. Cloth maps are on our wish list of if we've got enough cash to manufacture them, then we'll definitely be doing them. And so then we've started coming in and again, doing a lot of shaping on the terrain to help break areas up to kind of match the intent of the map. A lot of little just sculpting to make areas a little more pleasant, right? Like making some flat areas, you know, so that we can, when we do population, it'll work better for us. Creating some bugs that I'll get with Bjorn on and continue to sort of refine, looking at some of the different distinct areas, playing around with some different prop types to get a feel for kind of what's going to work and not work. That includes playing around with some structures and making them really big to see if they work for giants. Refining, I'll just show you guys that when I go in. Some of this area, so we really are mainly now in the propping stage, but one of the things that we can do in parallel, and it helps with propping, is to throw NPCs in and get a feel for like, what does it look like with them in, right? So I'll tell you what we're going to do now is I'm going to grab latest. See if there's anything that's been published since I grabbed latest before stream. Nope. Perfect. Then we're going to come over here and move into our scene that acts as like our launcher scene. It's just called zone. So going to move out of our scene here into that. I've still got the zone up, the terrain up in the background. If we see anything we need to adjust, we can do that and look at it pretty much in real time. And so today we're going to do some propping. It's chill, easy to do, and we'll probably do some NPC creation and placement, just really placeholdery, get a feel for things kind of stuff. And Bjorn made a new giant like hut. He's kind enough to knock that out earlier. And so we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Nell says, also, I love you all's skybox. Catch myself staring up during the nighttime. Yeah, it's one of those things that Ollie just really nailed from the onset. I mean, we've had that skybox for years now. We'll be adding to the skybox for sure. But you'll see some of that more in early access. There is, there's stuff that we're doing and we'll continue to do. It's something we've talked about on the team. So there's a, you know we've got playtests, we've got friends and family testing and other testing going on. We're going to try to build up some different lore, both via like things that you find in books and scraps and even some of the quests and other things. We're going to build that up and wait to put that in until the very last minute and just have it ready to go, so that everybody doesn't find everything and kind of feel like they don't have anything new to find. So that's one of the things that we'll be looking at. All right, so let me go full screen with this now. We are up in the hills. So we're up here in the hills. That's why it looks like this. If we were to go daytime, you'd see that it's foggy. Those of you that... those of you that haven't seen it yet. Question, I saw a VOD where you said giant animations are too much to render at a distance. Oh, they're not too much to render at a distance. What it was I might have misspoke when I said that. Let me put my clothes on. What's going on is we did like just a mass sweep, blanket sweep of optimizations. So it's everything's animations after a certain distance get LOD down. They just kind of get turned off. I think we maybe reduce the number of animations and then like turn them off at a distance, because most of the time you're not seeing them. They're so far away, they're not noticeable. And so it doesn't really matter that they're not animating properly. They're just like a tiny little shadow out there. And that's just an optimization. But we're going to go back now with things like, see that how far that giant is there? With bigger stuff, we can cherry pick. And it's just little, if you were in the stress test last Saturday, you might have noticed that it ran a ton smoother. And it's just because we've been going pretty hard on trying to optimize. So we'll see how the playtest goes next weekend, not this weekend. Star charts to find buried treasure, Dragon asked. Something like that, maybe. We do have we want to get an astronomy skill in. All right. So we got giants here. These giants aren't the biggest. Hey, Swanee. Let me become a human so you get a better feel for them. And this seems like a pretty decent spot though, size-wise, for the giants. The sand giants are a bit bigger, I think. We'll probably give these guys some different clothing and... I mean, they look pretty good, but I might... maybe it's a little chilly up here, so maybe they'll have some shirts and stuff. Let me go ahead and sow up so that I move a little bit. You take extra damage from them stepping on you when you're small. I think they have a stomp, and I do think we're wanting to have an ability in that does a little something when they stomp. Right? So, oh man, I really love the way the fogs worked here. Bjorn did a great job of getting the fog layers in an early iteration of this, so it's so far so good. Yeah, but you see how that guy's T-posed in the distance, and now he's going. So that's just the thing where we need to push the distance up a little bit for those guys. All right, and we just like plop these guys here as a test a stream or two ago. So what I can do is I can come over here. And I'll spawn a guy in here so we can kind of see. And then I'll get the hut in that Bjorn made. Is it possible to push the distance animations off to a shader? I don't know, Darius. That'd be something to ask the tech guys. If that winds up making sense. All right, so scale-wise, you can see, and those of you that remember, if you remember the sand giants in Vale of Zentar, then having them have little, having them have some areas allows us to put in giant crates and other stuff, which makes for a fun little parkour and exploration. So, and then just playing around with the scale here, but what we can do is we can absolutely put in something and put in the new hut and see what it feels like. So but let's just go here. Do that again. Okay. All right, so as you can see, oh man, a structure like this size, we could probably even put some shelves up there as well. I wonder what exploits that would lead to or not. So this was me playing around with building scale over the weekend. As you can see, and this was some feedback I gave Bjorn, is whenever we make something, we probably want to make the door a little bit bigger for these guys so that we don't have to make the structure super incredibly insane huge to fit them in. So GM speed here, turn around and look, right? But it does make for something that you can see there. All right. So that's what we've got here. So you know what I'd like to do is I'm going to go back into the scene. I'm going to stop this. Go back to scene. Maybe even make a unique NPC here so that we can start populating with that guy. So I'll get into the DB. And let's see. The maps. Scarwood. That shit cannot be good for you, but it is very tasty. Will giants have their own language? They could. It's not very hard for us to add languages. We've got like I don't know, a couple dozen languages in already. All right, so this is what we're looking at. Let me go ahead and load the data as well. Scarwood, enable zone spawners. Apologies. Climb up on the counter and find a way to the top shelf to glide down to the top of the table for some treasure. Yeah, I mean, it's easy enough to kind of make those little platformy type setups here. Do the language follow linguistic rules that players could follow as a randomized text? It's just randomized text for now. Hamad and I spent some time playing around to see if we could come up with something. And, I mean, it's a big investment. Is the giant house blocking the road? It is, just because I just threw it down there. What we'll do is we'll get a house size that we like. Then we'll look and see where it fits. And then if it doesn't fit somewhere, then we'll go into Blender. Excuse me. This is a very mouth soundy show. I apologize to you. It's after dinner. I'm drinking fizzy caffeine, right? So we can come in here and flatten a little bit, and then you'll see that whole thing in action. Yeah, ASMR stream. Exactly. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's beyond the realm of reason to get the languages in. It's just, it hasn't been a priority. It was kind of more of just a fun thing to play around with. And then it got sort of bumped for other stuff. So we'll move these guys over here, these spawn points over here. So the giants are standing by a fire. Why is that important? Because at nighttime, that's cool. It's nice to be able to see them illuminated a bit, right? So when you're down here, and you're coming up, not only do you see silhouettes and stuff, but then you've also got some that are kind of illuminated. That's always nice. You'll have guys silhouetted purely. You'll have other guys semi-illuminated. You'll have big moving shadows that are scary as shit. So we'll save those changes. Let me get into the DB. Let's make a new giant so that we've got like a unique giant here, and then we'll get into the prop part of it. Keeper's Bite. And then there's so much content going in right now. It's funny. Like, I'll be in the database. The reason why I'm more careful in having the DB up here is I like to zone in on what we're doing, so that you don't get too many spoilers now, because there's a lot of stuff going in all the time. I'm constantly seeing stuff I'm not familiar with, so that's great. Can we get giant rogues who say hilarious one-liners related to sneaking around? I think so. A zone where big scary shadows move around underground as part of the environment would be fun. We have shadow men that are just shadows on the ground. I don't know if you've seen them. If you run around Shaded Dunes long enough, you will. Mini in-game events? We'd like to, yeah. It's just, again, it comes down to, you know, prioritization and stuff. A lot of them would be relatively simple, I think. Okay, I think we're good here. So a lot of time what we'll do, especially if it's you know, like the same level range or whatever, and this is the way it's just always been done in my experience at different games I've worked on. So we'll just, to start with, we'll dupe these guys. So we duplicate them, duplicate. So essentially you saw duplicate row with keys. That means it maintains all the foreign keys to other tables and stuff. And it's just super simple. We come in here, we'll update the name. We've got a prefix. KPV is Keeper's Bite. 3-letter prefix works just because we've got a lot of zones. So 2 letters can kind of start to overlap. And so at least 3 works. And then what we'll do is, I think I've started saying SCW for Scarwood. And then we'll just make this guy so he's got a unique HID. there's other stuff that we'll want to do. The way we've got our table set up, we'll want to come in and then link that HID to some other things like abilities and stuff like that. But for now, this is a good start for us. We'll just come in here and SCW these guys. And we're keeping their levels where they're at, all that stuff, and we're good. So then what I can also do is come in and I will hook it to an NPC spawn group. NPC spawn group is how we randomize stuff. So randomize stuff, that doesn't help. That's no information for you. You're like, that says nothing, randomize stuff. We'll make a new row in here, insert, right? We'll take this guy here. And it's easy enough to go, like, we'll use the naming convention that's maybe like, it could be, so that's Scarwood Hill Giant. And often it's pluralized. I don't know why, I just kind of do that. And these guys are level 45, 46. And so for now, we can just keep that. And we'll just say 45, 46. And then we'll take that guy, right? And we'll make him the first one here. And we'll say that the level 45 one spawns, 60% of the time, or even 60, let's say 70% of the time for this one. I'll duplicate this again. And then we'll take this guy. Did grab the right one, right? Yeah, we did. Come in here, give him 30. And there we go. We've got this now. 69% of the time. Perfect. That'd be nice. Just got to hit that to kind of like refresh it. So it pulls the data from the database again. This kind of dupe workflow is 90% of the Skyrim Bethesda modding. Love making stuff for those games. Makes new stuff instantly playable. Yeah, it's just, I've seen a lot of different ways of doing it over the years. And honestly, this has just been, it's just been the fastest like tool setup, right? Like, so there's some stuff that takes a little bit of time. It's kind of like, oh, I've got like 4 different tables open or whatever. But honestly, at some point, maybe we'll get with Swanee or somebody and like re-explore some of those tables as, web-based tooling or whatever, and make it a little bit easier. Like, cause he's doing a lot of that stuff with the tooling that we've got already, where we've mainly been mining our data internally. So it's a lot easier for us to like find our data. We can, because of his tools and stuff, we can easily now go in and just, without getting into the database, we can just come into his own and find all the NPCs, all the quests, narrow it down to specific things, click on that. It'll bring up the NPC, like, what is this quest, and see what items it involves or NPCs. Click on the NPC. Now we got the NPC table, right? Like it's a much easier web view of the database setup that we have. And it makes it a lot easier for us to do things like auditing. We're doing a lot of itemization right now in Fallen Pass, and there's so much in Fallen Pass that's just been one of those things where it's like, oh shit. So we got the whole design team kind of like hitting it at once real quick. Just because there's so many named and things in there, and then they've each got their items and blah, blah, blah. And so, it's just been fantastic. Again, this is something that I've found to be a consistent theme with this team, is we are not the most like organized in terms of like, we don't do morning stand-ups, and we don't have meetings, and we don't have like super specific like project management fucking, like burn down charts and like waterfall setups or scrum boards or whatever. Different groups of people within the team work in different ways, and tech's got their boards, right? Like, so we've got some of that stuff, but it's just kind of like, dude, it's really more just constant async discussion. Oh, you got a need, let me see if I can address that really quick. We'll see. At the end of the day, we need to ship a game somewhat on time, and we'll see. But getting back to the point, like Swanee, the tooling that he's been doing, fantastic, right? Because we're like, hey, could you make it easier for us to see this, because we want to be able to like see all of the items within this level range. Cool. All right, can we sort them by slot? Great. Like, all right, do we have gaps in slots? Perfect. And it's making it a lot easier for us to deal with that data. And then he's, you know, just to brag on Swanee a little bit, then he's also working on stuff like the player funnel, right? So like getting that data, he's going to be working with Callum on that, but he's already got some of that tooling going up where we can just see, you know, like within this period of time. So like the next play test, we'll be able to look and see how many people downloaded the game, how many people, some of the stuff, I forget what you said, Swanee, before you get in game. I forget if we're going to be tracking that for this playtest or not. But anyway, long term, it's did someone register? Did they install? If they installed, did they, you know, did they make a character? Did they run around in the plane of meat? Did they interact with anything? Did they go to the new player guide? Did they log in? If they logged in, did they kill something before they quit? Did they interact with a merchant before they quit? Did they do their first quest before they quit? You know, all of that type of stuff, so that we can look at it and just kind of see, okay, oh man, we've got a pretty gnarly churn point here. Do we think that's because people are playing the game, they heard about it, and they all came in, they're like, oh yeah, this is going to be just like, you know, retail WoW, and then, oh, what is this shit, Boomer game, and then they hop out or whatever. Right, so Swanee said downloads, I don't have ways of tracking since that's another app currently, but adding as much as we can. Yeah, so death heat maps should be very doable. We've got that data. What was another one? Oh, when you're getting stuck, if you're using /rewind and stuff like that, we can build heat maps for that type of thing and see if there's some problematic areas. And so we're doing a lot of that type of stuff on the background as well. So it's not just our tooling, it's trying to get that data and really kind of get a feel for, all right, you know, what's really going on. And then what else do we have? We've got that. We've been, naturally, you've seen, we've been doing a lot of stuff on the tech side. If you weren't here for the last stream, I reviewed the stress test. We actually ran out of people before we ran out of, I guess, zone. So the tech team has made some changes. A lot of it was based on hardware configuration. We found Ali has been doing a lot of tests with the guys to kind of see what specific hardware actually works best for us, right, when we're leasing servers and blah, blah, blah. And come to find out, and I don't know the specifics. I'm not the tech guy. I'm just trying to remember what Ali said. Previously, we had processors with a shitload of cores, but they weren't as fast of processing speed, I guess. And then this time it was far fewer cores, faster processors, or faster processor, I guess, in this case. And previous stress tests, when we hit about 300, 320, I think, around the early 300s, we would start capping out about 90% of our processor usage, if I'm saying that correctly. And then this last stress test, we hit 465 people in Night Harbor, and we were at 30%. And so if you're ever interested on the tech side of things during tests, keep an eye out on Ollie's stream. I'm going to have that patched into my stream a bit better so you can watch those dashboards. But we've got dashboards up where we're watching just kind of like what's going on with the hardware, you know, how many people we have where and what's going on, right? So, but yeah, so we wound up running super smooth with 465-ish people in Night Harbor, this last test. We then switched into phase 2, where we basically loaded 3 servers and turned on every zone and then put them on a tiny ass box to see what would happen. And we were able to see that, what happened was shit crashed and broke, and we got a good feel for kind of where the lower limit is and how far we could push that. And then the rest of play tests or stress tests, we just let people play it. So that's kind of a quick recap of that. So let me get back on track. We're going to replace these guys with our official Scarwood Giants. We had these guys just kind of standing here so that we could get a feel for distance. Maybe we'll have them turned facing that way. Easy enough. Boom. We'll move this guy here. Have him turned as well. Maybe off to the side a little bit more because he's big. Update. All right. So these guys are updated. Had these guys here just so they would roam a little bit. What I find it works a bit better. I was just doing this with some orcs. Can you turn on zones? Can you turn zones off or on when they aren't being used? Yeah, and that's typically what we do, but in this case we had them turned off. I mean, sorry, turned on. But typically we spin stuff down, etc. And then, you know, we also have a sphere of influence where we despawn things that are outside of essentially your range of interaction sight. With, you know, so we have some different tools like that. So what I'm going to do is make this narrower so that they have a tendency to like walk back and forth, especially when it's only 1 or 2. So we'll make this about like, I don't know, 15. Oh, that's too narrow. 25. That'll work for now. We'll make it much longer so that actually cover some ground here. Kind of from the bridge. We can also do a series of go-tos, but I found that this is a bit faster, allows you to spawn multiple. They don't overlap quite as much, quite as often. We'll do that. 40. That'll get us started. We'll do 2 guys here. Then we'll come in here. We'll go back down to, what do we have? We got about 10 NPCs or 10 spawners in here. So we'll start this at 10. That probably, there's a bug. So sometimes when you set that up and you go to spawn stuff, it doesn't necessarily remember. Let's see if that's the case. Yeah, whenever you do like a new spawn group, it does that. I don't know why. We'll have to come in and clean up some of these tools one of these days, but it's not a big deal. Odds are I'm going to be interacting with the spawn point again anyway, so we've got these guys here. We're going to keep these tents for now, but they'll be replaced probably because it seems like a lot of cloth. Now we'll come in here. We've got this guy. We're going to move it out of the way. And then Bjorn was kind enough to tell me which model he created, so let me go into Slack real quick and find that. Bjorn, there he is. Hill Giant Hut. Come in here, grab this. Alright. And then we'll throw it in here. Cha-cha-cha. Almost made it home before my 2-year-old fell asleep in the car. This is my home for now, I guess. You still sitting in the car then? I've got to ask him if there's a way to reset that. I don't know. Maybe you guys know. That little angle. I don't know why that angle is on the little gizmo there on the handle. It's not a big deal. It's just a slight, minor, tiny pain in the ass. 10 prefab, blah, blah, blah. Cool. So we've got this guy here. We'll angle him a little bit. And rotate him. See, because that's just kind of goofy when it does that. It's something in the inspector. Like, there's probably some shit you can click. I know that does not build confidence when I'm like in here making a level and I'm like, I don't know how this shit works. Anybody know Unity? Y'all know Unity? Can you help me out? Help a brother out, please. But it's been like this since day one, and hey, look at us. So I'll just scale this booger up. The real reason he streams. Yeah, so you guys can show me how to get this done. Can you guys help me make this game real quick? That's exactly how we made the team. That's how we got the team, though. That's exactly how we got the team. It was like, remember, I was streaming, hanging out with Ollie and Nick, Bunny, you know, that first year. And it was just like, yeah, my expertise is rock placement. I'm pretty much the best rock placer there is. Also bush. I'm an expert with bushes. Yeah, and so anyways, the streams where you guys literally showed me how to like do Blender. Ollie and you guys are the only reason why I was able to open Blender. And then you guys kept showing up and be like, hey, no, you push this button. For real. You can go back and watch some of I wish I had all the streams from the first year. It is a freaking tragedy that I did not download all those. But you guys made it happen, and then over time, all the people, all the Zookins, and Goblin didn't come to us via the stream, I don't think. I forget who, like he heard from somebody or whatever. Goblin had actually, not to speak out of turn or tell his story, but Goblin had actually reached out to, I think, Ashes of Creation with like some character concepts. He was like, I think he sent him like a, you know, whatever message like, hey, here's how you can make your player races more interesting looking or whatever. And no, they never got back to him. So then he hit us up and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And so it was like Pattis and Zukin and Goblin in the first bit, and then more people just started coming in, and it was just over time it was like, yeah, the Chinnies and everybody else's of the world. If Simon's still out there, I forget, because Simon was doing a completely different type of modding. Well, he's doing environments, so he's doing like World War II stuff, I thought. And then Simon had reached out as well. But I can't remember if we had a job posting or if he had just reached out and it was kind of like speculative or what. All right, so here is the building. That's now, we've used the other one to size it. So we don't need this one anymore, the hunting lodge. But we are going to use this hunting lodge anyway, because poachers have been using this in Keeper's Bite. So we'll move it over here. It's way too big for there, but let's go to it real quick. Oh, it's not there. We've got this area. We just need to scale it down to like human scale now, but I've got a little clearing here for them. We'll scale it back down. And then we'll probably move it here. Yeah, John NS, like he was just a huge, he was an active, constant, huge part of our community for a very long time. And then I think, John, didn't we reach out to you at some point? I think John was one of those guys where we were like, hey man, would you be interested in doing this with us? Couldn't get rid of John, so we just brought him on. Yeah, he wasn't going away, so we're like, Bjorn was kind of that way as well. Bjorn had submitted kind of an application for environment artist and had just been like, dude, he worked so much with the team, so hard. Like he was constantly like asking questions, and then he'd be like, hey, here's everything that I just learned. Like Bjorn actually sent me like write-ups that were, hey, here's everything that I learned, all the questions that I asked, here's what I've been improving on, blah, blah, blah. Like, he would send me, like, PDF reports on, like, his improvements. And so it was just like, and then more and more, it was just good stuff. And they were like, perfect. Let's go. Let's frickin' go. Pattis said, I binged all of the dev interviews and hopped to the most recent VOD to see about this game you kept mentioning, and it happened to be the stream you mentioned needing a 3D artist. I feel like I missed something prior to that. I just remember we were looking for a 3D artist. We were like, does somebody know computer? If you know computers, it was like the 90s all over again. If you know computers, please reach out. It was like when I was getting cold called from like websites in the late 90s. Do you know computers? We see that you're working, because I was working on this little equine, and I was working at Jeffers Equine and Pet Supply in Dothan, Alabama part-time. But yeah, like, so we said we need someone that knows computers, and then Zukin, 3D artists, Zukin and Pattis reached out and were like, hey, can you do monsters and you do environments? Perfect. We'll grab both of you. And the same thing happened on the tech side. We were like, we need tech nerd, and Gary reached out, and John, the other John, reached out. John Gamble. And boom. Got him. So we just took both in both cases. All right, so this is a bit big, right? You can see it's a bit big. So now the question is, what do we want to do with this? And I think what we'll do is we'll move it over here. Excuse me. And we may flatten this out a bit. And just make sure that there's a nice spot for it. So we're bouncing around a little bit on the tools. Man, that really bothers me. That I can't just rotate it because of the thing going on. If somebody knows Unity and there's like an easy way not in the asset to reset the orientation of this frickin' thing, then please do it. Sorry I got distracted. I was listening to Staying Alive while doing the Bully McGuire dance after I got out of the shower. Well, that's an image. Try local versus... It just move... Oh, wait. Global versus local. Thank you. See, I knew it was going to be some shit like that. Thanks, Scott. I knew it had to be something like that. Pattis said Bjorn's growth from his first submission until he joined the team was really fun to watch his skill growth. Yes, it's so good. Speaking of, Zillith is in here. Zillith is one of the people that came on the team, and I had to show him everything I knew about programming. He was new to computers, so I was like, let me show Zillith how to program stuff really quick. I think he turned out okay. All right. But now I am not half bad after his mentorship. Yes, you are pretty okay. Quato said, "Oh, look at this little house. It is literally the biggest house in the game." What's going on, Quatos? Speaking of Dark Inside, speaking of dancing to Staying Alive as you come out of the shower, Quatos is here. Okay, so I'm going to hit save real quick. Well, I don't even know that I need to do that. Let's go into Blender. Let's go here. This is where that house is. Let's grab these verts really quick. Maybe even these guys too. Let's live a little. And this one. Probably these along the edge as well. Is that enough space? You know what? Let's do a bit more. Grab all this. S. Z. 0. Should be flat, even if some of them are a little cattywampus, I think. Oops. Yeah, we're flat. Cool. Hit save. We'll export the FBX. Cool. Now this is flat. Prima. It's so weird moving between Unity and Blender, like the inputs. All right, so I gotta remind Bjorn to make the bottoms of structures a bit thicker. Right, like this right here always benefits from being a bit thicker, just so it gives us a little more wiggle room when it comes to embedding them in terrain that may not be perfect. Right, so, and I think just in this case, like he put this together really quickly for me earlier. So, you know what the other thing is? I think this guy is angled. So let's go into its properties and let's just zero it out really quick. Sean requests thick bottoms. I am a fan. Oh hey, speaking of, welcome home. That was inappropriate. I realize now. I'm on stream. This is like 2 streams in a row. Well, you wanted open game development. The poor team. The poor team. You guys know what you signed up for. It's the energy drink. It really is. This is why I had to stop with him for a while. I was getting in trouble. This is a Sean stream. This is not an NWC. I need to actually have that posted somewhere on the screen. The views expressed here in actions taken in this stream are not a reflection of the views or action of the entire team. But given enough time, they will learn. All right, so here we go. Now, in all fairness, that yeah, I'm an idiot. Disclaimer. Yeah, I can add that. We don't want it all squared up, right? So we want it to look a little organic. We'll start there. Cool. All right. Well, in that, we've even got some room. I think we can pull it off there a little bit to give us a little more wiggle room to do some stuff. And we can probably take another campfire, put it here. I may ask them to make this like central thing, like just a kind of like a, maybe it's a burned out tree. I'm not trying to push the fidelity too crazy, but maybe a little something where it's like there's a fire. Need a fire here. Maybe there's just a hole. I think they probably want a fire in their house, right? But again, we're trying to reuse assets as much as possible. And so, yeah, that gets us started. I still think it wouldn't hurt to have like a little, like a tent structure, like some sort of a little placeable tent structure. So we'll use this as a placeholder for now. Just like a little lean-to, a little Valheim lean-to or something. Oops. I just saw something shoot by. That was not intended. Oh, and I've got the data editor up and they fight for undos at the moment. So that undo didn't work. So we'll just, we'll do this. Maybe make it out of giant bear hides. Some stumps outside to show where they got their wood from? Yeah, we can do that. I think we got some stumps. There's some stumps and keepers. So, oops. No, not there. I need to look in project. Stump. We got stump seats for them. Campsite stump seats. So maybe they've got some stump furniture sitting around. Stumps camped. Yeah, perfect. We'll need to make this a bit smaller, I think. Maybe they got a stump over by their campfire. That's where I'd put a stump. Stump seat if I was a giant. And then a giant axe leaned against the building. We can do that as well. Well, we might be able to. I don't know if I've ever figured out how to add a axe, like a weapon prop, and have it be have the texture. Chinny nose. Oh, we have that weapons added now. Perfect. So I should be able to grab it. But we wanted stumps. And what I may do is actually squish this guy down a little bit and then make him a bit wider. Squish him down. And so we can actually line this area with some stumps. I think that's a good suggestion. So kind of on your way up here, we can hit it with some stumps. I'll get a few in as a kind of like to get it started, a little reminder. And then we'll go from there. We'll look at their scale and stuff as well. Like, I think it'll work with some of these trees. Let's see how big this tree is. Control D. Yeah, we can even go a bit smaller for some of these. Go like here with this. Might as well not waste them. We've already added them to the world. Oh yeah, like the house logs are huge, so let's go big. Because it also makes like an interesting obstacle to break up the scene, right? So you know, we're in there. We're pretty close. Not bad for eyeballing it, huh? Should have some stumps that are at least the size of the logs used to build a cabin. Yep, right here. I've been known for my eyeballing skills. Smaller races hollow out the stumps and use them as houses. Maybe not in this zone, but in other zones. We'll see. We'll see. One of the problems I ran into with making... You may hear some noise in the background. We need to defrost that freezer sometime soon. Where was I going with? Oh, you'll notice like one of the challenges as I was working over here is to make some of these trees like truly massive. They start to really make the hills not look so big. You know what I mean? So we'll look at that in a second. But like if I were to take one of these guys and make it like So as big as... Here, let's go take a look. Let's bring one of these over. It's going to be, I think it's going to be about 30% too small. We'll see. So, about right. Just about right. Are they larger than the ones in the Wood Elf area? No, the ones in the Wood Elf area are massive. Yo, part of the wood cabin is dope. Like, have it be... have it be growing. Get a Z fighting going on. Lazy giants that couldn't be fucked with chipping it down. Like, just, we'll use that as a support, guys. I don't know if that's gonna fly. I don't know if that's gonna fly. Center posts. I think it's gonna be so much. Look how huge this is. If it's the center post, it'd have to be even bigger. So, hey Jasmine.
Hello. How are we doing?
I was just talking about you.
Hopefully nice things.
Nothing but nice things. She said,
Is that true, chat?
Is that true? I thought it was nice. You guys better not rat me out. Nothing but nice. Anyways, if you look at how big these things are. Thank you guys. We'll leave it in there. It's a big
Delete the VOD.
delete the VOD. We'll leave it in there as a reference. We'll look at it when we hop in. What are you doing? You're out of control. He was trying to get away. What do you think you are, a dolphin? He was, thanks for all the fishing right out of there. Alright. So, got our fire, we got our house, we got this guy right here. Probably another fire over here, because, you know, why not? Chip loves it when we put as many light sources as possible in a scene, so... Still got a few 100,000 more to go in this scene before he's fully happy. Yeah, this is amateur hour level of lights. This scene has got 1/3 the number of lights as a single room in the bends. Trying to scratch the paint out of the bottom of that bowl. You heard her. You heard her. Killing that yogurt container. I kind of feel like this needs to be flattened a little bit here. It's not like there's a... I don't think there's a line of what do we see here when we're coming up? What do we see? Nothing, right? And then you come up here and you look and it's like, what is this? So maybe you see the stumps on the way up, right? That tells a little bit of a story. You start seeing these stumps early on. These these big old stumps here. And you're kind of like, oh man, I've been going up this hill. And there's trees everywhere, but now there's stumps. Now you guys aren't going to say that because I mean it's your zone. You guys have you were here for the making of. You'll still say it? Thank you, Quatos. Just for me. Not just for me. You guys will be doing another one of your like 72-hour. Did you guys eat anything other than beer during that? You'll be like you'll be in a French maid outfit again, drinking. And then you'll stumble upon this zone and be like, "What's going on with these stumps?" Player Killer 101 says maybe an axe stuck in a stump they left. Oh, that would be cool. That would definitely be a hint. I don't remember what I ate, but I swear I did. You ate some whipped cream at the end. I saw that. Beer is basically bread. What's the German phrase for that? 7 beers is a schnitzel? Yeah. So there's a German saying. Nochmal auf Deutsch. 7 Bier ist ein Schnitzel? Yeah, 7 Bier ist ein Schnitzel. 7 beers are a schnitzel. Back when we were drinking, I definitely had a few schnitzels. Man, they drink here. Oh. All right, so don't let me forget the axe thing here, either. Yeah. Ate a lot of schnitzel my day, apparently. Yeah. So if we're coming up this hill, boom, boom, boom. Then we're gonna, we want it to be pretty obvious that something's going on, right? So there's gonna be a fair number of these guys. Might have a couple schnitzels tonight. Sounds good. What kind? Are you gonna get them from somewhere? Are you gonna make them? Oh, are you just talking about beers? Is that what's going on? I'm a little slow on the uptake. Like my brain is so literal when I'm not being a smartass. Oh, we'll definitely add a roamer. All right, so Player Killer popped in here with first time chat with a suggestion that I think is a good one. So let's find us an axe. Let me ask you where to find this project. Axe. These schnitzels are from Mexico. Mexican schnitzels. A schnitzelrona. Yeah, I mean, there you go. When you check out the game and when you see that axe in there, you'll be able to say, I did that. Bring at least a dozen friends to subscribe for at least a month. That's fine. If you bring a dozen friends, they subscribe 1 month. That's essentially 1 year LTV for one person. That'll work. There we go. What? I need to find it. I may have to have Chinny tell me where to find it. Oh, there. I found it. Basic axe. I'm gonna give you some axe options. It's Friday. No, we don't want that one. That was not incorrect. No, that's that. That's just right there. No? You don't feel that's an appropriate size? All right. I think we have two the hatchet, right? I thought we had a different hatchety looking hatchet. Might be under tool. I just typed in axe. Let me tool. It's like the sword and stone, but for lumberjacks. Tool. Is it? I'm looking for a folder. Tool lumberjack axe. Okay. But and that's a pickaxe. Yeah, I'm trying to find the... That's a freaking pickaxe too. Oh, and it says pickaxe on it. I keep just grabbing shit that says pickaxe in the description. So let me... But that one doesn't have a texture. There we go. FFS. The way I'm doing it, I'm just typing it in search because I'm lazy. Are you sure you're having a schnitzel, not having a schnitzel right now? I've had an energy drink. That's enough. Energy drinks are great for me. I can feel it in my chest and the fact that it feels like I'm getting a nosebleed. Probably super healthy, but hey, live a little. Okay, that is not helping. We'll have to look at a giant really quick. We're going to scale it relative to a giant. And let's add a spawner real quick. What is this? A spawner for ants? It could be. Well, we don't have ants. You're weak. I had 12 in 5 hours when I was 19 and mixed that with alcohol. It was wild. Dark inside, I'm 50 years old. You don't want to talk. That's... You want to know what I was doing when I was 19. I don't know that I'm even allowed to say on stream. Yeah. 19 I was in the army, that's correct. It needs a wood chopping maul too. Hey, listen. Let's not push the fidelity too crazy here. What do you think this is? ESO? Listen. Listen, sir. This is me barely knowing how to use Unity. Let me go spawn a dude as well over here. Let me spawn a couple guys while I'm here. Let's just make this a party. I think if I disable... Yeah, what changes I got? Save those real quick. If I disable the zone spawners, and then I re-enable the zone spawners, I think that fixes the bug. So then, when I... I'll grab this guy. Then we come here. Where are we at? Really? Is this guy 300? I don't want him to be 300. We don't need a 300. Need to keep these numbers correct. Should be 13. Boom, boom, doo, 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 doo. Boom, 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 boom. And we'll check this out. We'll make sure we got room up in here, guys. Oh, it doesn't matter. It still didn't work. All right. Well, let me do this manually then. Oops. And then this guy. We need to fix that bug. And then a couple torches around tree. That makes sense. Maybe a brazier or something like that. But I think torches will be good. We'll move this guy here. Just got to fill in the spawn group here so that something actually spawns. Take this guy. Oops. Whip him around. Boom. Got a guy here. He needs a friend. He doesn't want to be standing here by himself. Try one more time, see if that works. Nope, it didn't. Alright, save these guys real quick. Can save them individually, but this sort of batch save is also proven to be pretty handy. What we'll also do is we'll put another. Yeah, well, let's do an actual one with go-tos. We'll do 2 with go-tos real quick. All right, Dark Inside, see you, buddy. Enjoy the concert. Guard bears would be a nightmare. Night bears. Yeah, once we got bears animated and stuff, then we'll get some big bears in here. I don't think we have bears in yet, do we? Maybe I'm wrong. Want to throw a treant in here. A treant. Bears are in? What? Gotta get some bears in this week then. Jeez. Giant wolves for sure. Love giant wolves. The other giants have giant wolves as well. Bears are in? Thought Sean was our big bear. Oh man, I would love to be a big, oh, wrong kind of bear. I was about to say. Big furry chest for you, Simon. Tree ant. Dude, I can't not say. I told you last stream I can't not say treant, dude. Come on, man. Quit hating. Alright, so we've got this guy here. He's a giant, not a tree ant. We're gonna turn him around though to start out with. He's gonna be looking over the bridge. And that's a tree uncle. Listen, smartass. Just because you make excellent tools and make our lives easier does not mean you get to make fun of me. Swanee. Swanson. My tree auntie. In him. Never mind, make a tree ant. She's disappointed in how the other trees aren't married and have siblings yet. Hey, what's up, Zen0? Don't make me call my tree aunt in them. Forget how I'd say it back in the day. That's how I'd say it back home in Bama. Right, so go to... I hate when it does that. It's writing on the cloud layer. He's going to come up here for a minute. Right? He's going to come up here and talk to this other guy for a second. Hey, Fred. Hey, Bill. What are you doing today? Oh, yeah. This is giant shit. Yeah. So give him a little pause. Pause. I don't know. 15, 20 seconds. He's mainly pausing to be polite. Yeah, I'm looking for my axe. Wade said he is, he might be using it? Well, where'd he go? Well, he's down the hill a bit. Okay, let me go check in on him. Axe, not X. Not looking for my X. Oops. And he's not going to go all the way down. Actually, he's just going to stay here. Still got the cough. Then we're gonna pause him here for about, I don't know, like 30 seconds. Wade, are you down there? You got my damn axe. I said you could use it, not all day. Well, don't forget it. Every damn time. Plot twist. He will actually forget the axe. Go home. And then we'll basically reset this loop. Set active command 0 and then it just loops over, right? Florian, yeah, of course. Are these giants interested in propane accessories? In the future, in our next game, they will have that level of sophistication. Cool. All right, so we got this guy going, and then we got Wade down here. And what we could do is actually, we're going to take this axe and we're going to move it this way. And we're going to turn it around. Whoops, that is not what I meant to do, but I'm not going to bother fixing it. We're going to hit it over here. You know, it's foggy. Let's see what that looks like. When you're coming up the hill, you come. Now it should, let's make it a little bit more obvious to the player. So perpendicular. And in a minute we'll test to make sure that it's big enough. Or that the trees aren't too tall. This stump may be too tall for the giant to actually reach to cut. Now, what we're going to do with this guy, though, is take axe and then you give it to the other guy. And he's like, that son of a bitch. I knew he forgot it. All right, so what we're gonna do though is need enough strength to pull the axe. We should be able to check that. I don't know if we're checking stats yet. We're checking skill levels. We're checking buffs. I think we need to get stats into the mud action. I think that'll be critical. Yeah, take axe. You are encumbered, but if you're strong enough, axe caliber for sure. Like we should be able to do that. But then we may not want to do that. We would probably, I guess we could leave it in, but we could also put it in as a switch. And so when you take it, it disappears off the tree and then reappears. Axe caliber, that's great. What we're going to do though here is we're going to make this guy wander in volume. See, this is our zone, you guys. You've created the zone, and now we're creating the lore as well, right? Love the M&M Discord tag. Yeah, Nick just got that set up. It's super cool. I don't have mine set up yet. I didn't look to see how to do it. Quicksand said, back to mom life. Thanks for the stream. Have a great weekend, everyone. See you next week. Hey, have a great weekend. Enjoy mom time. It is a blessing. And thanks for being here. So we'll have this guy wandering around here looking for the axe. Call the quest Wade's dumb axe forgot. See, since we don't name our quests, right? Like, because there's no, like, you know, that doesn't have that kind of question. Yeah, so this is a random spawn and random wander. So every time he's killed or whatever, he'll spawn randomly within this. And then here we'll set up the wander. So because we don't explicitly tell you what the quest is called, you can name it whatever you want in the community, on the wiki, or whatever. And that is how legends are made. So wander in volume, pause chance, 10%. Let's give him a high pause chance because he is confused. So he's got a 60% chance to pause. He's looking around, right? So if he's looking around for stuff, it's probably, he's going to stand there for at least 10 seconds. Now we can do a variance here. That variance could be like 5 seconds. So what we could actually do is, let's make this so that no matter what, he stands there for at least 10 seconds. It'll be 15 with a variance of 5. And that'll be plus minus 5. So he'll stand there between 10 and 20 seconds whenever he pauses. All right. So I think we're kind of at a good spot right now to check some stuff out. Will there be zone-wide or really big wander volumes for NPCs? Because I like that in EQ. Yeah, we have some pretty massive wander volumes in some zones. We tend to subdivide at times, though, just because it allows us to give more explicit control over, kind of like make sure they're not spawning in weird places and things like that. But we've got some pretty big volumes. There's at least one in for a thing that's never been seen in any of our testing in one of the zones. And it is, I think, zone-wide. Cool. All right, so we've got this set up here. We've hit save. So let's come back into the zone and take a look. All right, so I'm going to hop back out. I'm going to clear this. Maps. Zone. Yeah, sure, save again. I thought I saved. Turd face. It's alright, that's just how I tend to talk to myself while working. Disable spawners. Let me see if I need to pull anything. Oh, yep, there's a couple things. Get latest. Recompile. All right, so we'll take a look at the scale of this stuff. Since Wade will be wandering around, we'll like manually spawn a giant right next to the axe to get a feel for how big it is. And then we can just delete him. Let's see. And then we can run around a couple more areas and let you take a look. But it's nice that we're banging this out real quick, since we got the assets for it and stuff. And some great ideas. So that's nice. That's fun. All right, so we see. Let's reload zone because I don't think this is the latest data. So that'll pull the. Basically, it'll pull the database and just grab all the latest data, pull it into here, so that we can make sure that these guys are actually where they're supposed to be and that our new guys are in place. I am naked for some reason. Now I have clothes. Cool. Reload zone. It's funny that it tends to get rid of my buffs like that. I don't know why. Chipping in probably knows. You guys probably want to hear these guys stomping around too, don't you? Options. We'll turn. We got music playing here, so. There we go. We need to increase the range on that, I think. I don't know. Can you guys hear it? May not be turned up enough. Somebody in the YouTube comments says the stream's still too quiet. But then I checked the VOD and I swear I could hear myself well enough, so I don't know. Why are you man, these goofballs are facing the wrong way. We can fix that really quick here. So what we'll do here is we'll enable zone spawners again. And we can just toggle between scene view and game view for those of you that are new here and haven't seen that. Yeah, I think just a louder farther distance for the giants. Definitely good piece of feedback. Got to remember to tell oh yeah, well, it makes sense. These guys are doing what they're doing because something didn't get. I didn't save it. I don't think something didn't get saved. I didn't save it properly. Don't want to infer like there's a bug or something. It was user error, as most things tend to be. Will we hear the giant campfires as well? It should. I don't know if the emitter scales in the prefab. I think we've also had a problem with maybe the light not scaling in the prefab. So I have to double check that. I don't know anything about the sound in the emitters and sound emitters and stuff. What are the giants eating up in the mountains? Mainly travelers. Probably giant animals, mountain sharks, yes. when it's sushi night. Great. This will work. Yeah, I think shelves. I don't know if you were in here earlier, Quatos. You know how we set up the giant tents in Vale of Zintar, where they have like all sorts of boxes and other crap that they, you know. The dankweed. Is there dankweed in Vale of Zintar? I don't remember putting in dankweed, but it's possible. But I was thinking some shelves up here would be nice. So boxes, shelves. Let's take a look here. Let's look at a time set. 4 p.m. That's great. Dwarf heads are just, they're so small. Oh, and I'll show you, there's some plants you can take in some tent somewhere. Yeah. Here, you know what? We'll go back to it in a second. I'll show you. Zach had an idea in the last stream of them like just throwing their like trash and stuff over the bridge. So there's a pile of broken carts and other stuff down there under the bridge. So I've already tossed that in. Yeah, the half ripped up dwarves, like the charming gore is something we've talked about. Definitely want to get more of. We've got a really nice dead Ashira head, some Ashira skins. All right, I'm gonna GM speed cheat down the hill so that we can actually get the opposite, get the view that we were talking about on the way up. All right, so we're coming up the hill. Yeah, I think the giants would eat the whole orc. I mean, the whole dwarf. Orcs would flay them. I do think we need some like flayed humanoid skins for the orcs. That would be good. Maybe a skin tint. Though, I mean, I guess. Where's our dude? Our dude's not here. Something has failed us. Oops. Let's go here. Let's double check. Let's come down here. It'll be a quick fix. You know what it probably is? He probably has nothing on his. Yep. Yep, because of that bug, and we didn't double check, did we? Save. Cool. Then we'll come here. Let's go ahead and just check the scale before we... So S in hat tip to WoW, have a human skin rug in the orc hut. I didn't even remember that. Hey, Justin Beer, what's going on, buddy? Hope you're having a good day. Was it KPB Hill Giant? I think that's correct. All right. So axe, what are you guys thinking? Axe, about right scale wise. The tree the stump that it's on though could probably be brought down a bit, maybe 20% smaller for this example. I mean, because let's pretend they have big saws as well. Giants could be bigger, to be honest. The only concern is like these guys are smaller than the Veil of Zentaur giants. I think that was, why did I make them a little bit smaller this time? Was it to make the structures and fit in structures easier? Animations, I forget why. So smaller stump. We'll definitely get some logs in. We've got some logs. Yeah, it gets hard to see when they're really huge, right? Like, so I think that's good. We'll just make this example smaller so it tells the story. So, smaller stump and the axe could be bigger. Okay, we'll do both of those things. We'll reload zone really quick. Definitely should be a dropped item called Giant Belt Buckle, and it's a shield. Diameter is fine. Just cut closer to the ground. Yeah, we'll just pull it down a bit. Fair enough. But we'll make the axe bigger either way. We'll pull it down 15%, but then we'll make the axe bigger. And there we go. And now we've got our wandering giant looking for his axe that's over here. And only you guys will know the story. Unless it turns into a quest, then I guess everybody will know the story. And then we'll run back over here, see kind of what it looks like with the current lights at night, but we'll play with the lighting a little bit. And twilight lighting with the mist makes it eerie feeling. It's great. It's also, yeah, it's nice up here and it feels different up here. Because it's just these clean silhouettes and it's kind of open. But it's really nice down the forest. We'll go down the forest in a minute. So yeah, see how they're lit up a bit. We've got silhouettes going. We'll fix the T-posing. And as it gets darker, that's a little more apparent. Oops, I just went crazy. Could get an animation in the future of giant chopping stump in half, like 2 to 3 swings, fading, resetting. We could do chopping, syncing it up to like cutting it in half and stuff. It winds up, it pushes into kind of like a level of fidelity that I tend to not even mess with because it may just look a little too hacky and hokey with the way that, with how we can set things up. It's a cool idea. It's just, there's a lot of like stuff where I'm like, I'll let your mind fill in those blanks. Is that the dark level without infravision? It is here because of all the clouds and stuff, it makes it brighter. But even outside of this zone, we're continuing to play around with the light settings and things. It's easy to slip into hokey when building giant stuff. Yeah, mainly the main worry I would have is just like syncing up the animation and like having it actually split the thing. I think it's doable. It's just I don't know. I would probably wind up noodling on it for a while to try to make it look good, and I could spend that time like adding some more shit. There could be felled trees up on the way to the hill that haven't moved yet. Yeah, possibly. I can ask if we can cut off a tree bottom and like basically have it where it looks cut and then have it there, because we've got the stripped out logs. I think Bjorn just made one of those, but we could just even chop off the bottom of a tree and then I could just tip it over because the branches will just stick through the ground and that'll be fine. So that's not a bad idea. Let me write a note. Because we can use that in a couple places. We were talking about a giant, or we were talking about a bandit roadblock as well. Were you thinking of adding like a trail or busted car pieces, bones leading up to camp? Mostly keeping that in the valley. Mostly keeping that in the valley. So let's fall down the valley real quick and take a look. These guys are great looking, but I definitely will want to add more movement, and we want to put some lights, as you were saying, like torches and stuff in the cabin to make that you know, have some nice illumination. And if anything, even if we put some torches in, I think even if we maybe turn off the torches lights, and then just have a nice warm light blasting out of here, so that way you got this nice giant door and light radiating out. That'll be nice up here. So let's time set 7 a.m. because we're about to jump in the valley. And we may be able to do another one of these houses over here as well, I think. So we'll probably do more than one of these. And we'll reuse this down again where the mine is by the lake. Hey, Miklos. All right, so let's hop on down here. We got stuff popping in and out just because we haven't baked the occlusion. So yeah, we've got some stuff down here. And then we've got a wagon, but it's pretty intact, but I was gonna look at like putting it in here. Zach had mentioned just like burying it on its side or something. So it may put some more trash down here. But this was just a little bit I tossed in so we have an example. Yeah, and we can put more boulders and stuff in as well. And we get into human form so we got better scale, sense of scale. Cool. Don't let me forget to adjust those stumps. I think I'll probably remember if we don't, even if we don't go back there immediately. To the best of my knowledge, it's just I come in and place a bunch of shit, and then I think the artists need to like bake something so that stuff is less poppy. And then, and again, with the draw distances that we have, we really want to have stuff like you know, we'll fix the animation for the bigger guys at a distance because you'll have like a giant walk across here and you'll be able to see it. So that'd be cool. Like if you come here first and you don't know what's up there yet. So it's little stuff like that. And it's always, one of the fun things about our game is there's a lot of verticality and a long draw distance so you can see people running around. That's always fun. All right, so we're going to come out here. I mean, this zone is big. I mean, that's like a hell of a trek. But again, long draw distances, a lot of fun. Unless you're one of the tech guys trying to optimize stuff, then not a lot of fun. But might be cool to have some scavenger type mobs down there rifling through the rubbish. Like, what are you thinking? Like some of our wolves or something? Or when you're exploring and giants knock a player off and they hit the deck in front of you. Goblins. Goblins down there? We haven't talked about adding goblins to the zone yet. Alright. Goblins digging through some garbage? I can see that. Goblins at the bottom of the well. Nice. Okay. Let me add that to our image. We got bandits in other areas. I kind of like this idea. This goblins in here. Goblin bandits. NPCs. Goblins. Digging through the valley wreckage. And then / well. I think the goblins are a freelancer. Goblins with some little wolves. Yeah, this is my garbage. This is our spot. Now we need goblins riding giant wolves. Oh, just wait. Just wait. Mounts are going to be cool. All right. And now we're coming down it in here. Cool. So got a lot more trees to place. I mean, we'll have some open fields, but definitely want to have more trees. Just got started on it this week. We'll run over to where the streams are real quick and take a look at that. Goblins work with the giants. So I was just trying to picture, would there be a relationship, especially if I put the well in there? Like, do they work with them directly, or is it sort of like it's kind of a little symbiotic? Are there goblins? Are there goblins? What class is my GM character? Enchanter, I believe. Are there goblins that? But I'm just using like GM illusions. Are there goblins at the bottom of the hill that direct you up? Yeah, they should. I think they should be scared of being caught. I don't think they... I think they might pop up and sneak around up there and stuff every once in a while, but I don't think they're working with them. Yeah. But I could imagine some goblins down near the entrance that are telling you to go up that way. That trail's safe. And then they just like they've got one crew that tells you to go up the safe area, and then they wonder if they there'd be a deep elf ambassador in their main hut. A deep elf may come up to talk to giants every once in a while. They may be trying to form a deal. Yeah, so the goblins like go up the trail, then you get jacked, and then they're waiting for you, your shit to get tossed down on the bottom. I think the light probes on this water. No, it's not doing it. Been playing around with some stuff. I think we've just got to unify our water system and like determine, is it going to be latest crest or is it going to be Unity 6? Because there's some, it's just, yeah. Yeah, so I went in, smoothed all this stuff out for us. Like I said before. You know what? Let me make it nighttime again. Maybe. So you can kind of get a feel for what it's like down here as well. Sun going down. And then you know, it's like there's these big sort of expanses, even with the trees in, it's, you know, it's a big zone. But what I'll do is I'll get some big volumes like we were talking about earlier going in here. Maybe we can do that now in the next like 30 minutes. We'll get some volumes in. And what is that that's hidden me with like this little, it's like little lag stutters. I think it's probably related to the zone not being baked and or messing around with that water. If I had to guess. That hitchiness. And the crazy draw distance. What's going on with them trees popping in and out? Is that related? Reload real quick. Yeah, shit just needs to be baked. Whoa, that just made it worse. Okay. I have to get it baked. Oh, floating tree. I have to go back through and look for more of these guys. I put in a number of trees, and I put in like some hills and bumps and stuff like that to kind of make the terrain look a little bit more, I don't know, organic and kind of break things up a bit. If you look, once we have the road in, you'll see we're using the hills to kind of subtly guide the road along as well. But I wanted to get monsters in and roaming around, big ones, before I went too crazy with some of the stuff, because we don't like, especially if we got like tall tree ants. I'm just gonna say tree ant. You guys can kiss my ass. What? This is Trent's. Trent Hughes. This is definitely a Sean stream. Hey, I don't know what to tell you guys. If you're new here, if this is your first time watching this stream, in theory, I do represent the team in some ways. But you know, this is for real, true, open game development. This is how we talk. You know, this is how we talk. Wow, I made everything way worse by hitting reload. So, there's trees there. You saw them. We'll have to bake that. What happens if I do it again? Wild. Wild, man. Zone. Scarwood. This is you enjoying where you work? Exactly. This is what it feels like to be working in an environment that is not crushing your soul in exchange for microtransaction cash. And then we'll... I'll turn into an ogre as well. That helps put things in perspective. World doesn't seem quite as big when you're an ogre. Then we'll run over here to where the poachers are, and then we'll hop back out, and we'll add some spawn volumes. We'll make a couple more NPCs. We'll add some roamers down in this mess, and then I think we'll probably be at a good stopping point for tonight. What I'll do is I'll continue getting this stuff in before Tuesday. And Zukin said we have bears ready to go. I didn't realize that. I thought they were kind of ready, but I hadn't used one. I hadn't seen one in game, I don't think. So that in mind, we'll get some bears in, because there'll probably be some bears added to keepers, and there'll be some giant bears up in here. Making a face library for me at the moment. Oh, while I've got you, hey, thank you for saying it's an enjoyable stream. While I've got you, I've noticed in some of the equipment, there's like MET, capital MET for the textures, like the lerps. There's like new lerp designators, but then all the stuff on the lerp page is like the old colors. And I was wondering if there was a difference, if, because I didn't see any of like the all caps MET and stuff like that on the lerp page. So I wanted to make sure that I wasn't using the wrong thing. Didn't know Zukin's a lerper. He is. He's the king of the lerps. Good call. Lerp page is majorly out of... Okay, cool. I'm glad I said something then, because I was like, I think this is not right. And then I didn't want to be making bad stuff. Perfect. Teamwork. And then we'll have more poachers out here. Poachers and bandits and stuff. And I had tossed this in before. Let me see scale wise what we're looking. May need to scale this down a little bit still. I think I do. Cool. We'll probably give them 2 of these cabins then out here. We can fit in a couple. We guys put beetles around the quarry back in for the test. Mentioned in Discord. Hope you guys do. Let's make them non-social for now. Will Nicodemus be back for that? Let's remember to remind Nicodemus, because that seems fine. I saw your message. Seems fine. I get what you're saying. I think the original feedback I'd given them was like, yeah, especially when they were social, was just kind of like, do we need all those? Because people were going out and then they're just getting kind of overrun. So I was like, can you structure a bit more? But I definitely get what you guys are saying. So it'll be nice if we've got like big critters roaming around out here. Kind of reminds me of that one area in Elden Ring, right? When you go down in and there's whatever the big ass bear's name is. Snakes. I've been holding off on getting snakes like just kind of randomly here, but maybe we need to get some in. Just because there are certain mob models that when we were going through the original list, it was just trying to like make it so it wasn't so many of the things that you'd already seen before. So what do we have in here? We've got wisps are going in for sure. So here, let's go back through. Let's do a quick review of the points of interest, especially for folks that maybe weren't here before. I'm like, why am I trying to find a place to stop? I'm like, let me find a safe place to stop. There's nothing in here. Could use more of the wasp as well. Yeah. Got wasps and keepers as well. Here, let's look at our NPC list, which is actually on the webpage, not what I'm opening. So, points of interest for those of you that weren't here or don't remember. So we've got giants over here, giant camp with a mine at the lake. Then we've got the number 8 is the ruined elven resort at the lake. Some ruins down there, kind of a la Vexar. The lake. 5 will have a sojourner camp. 12 going, we're just going kind of west to east here on the bottom. 12 we've got drakes, so big ass green drakes, trents, and some giant critters roaming around in this area here. Got 13. Oh, let me keep going. Then over here, deep elves. So 6 and 7. We got deep elves and orcs. And I think the orcs are probably visiting. We talked about it before. There'll be deep elves with like a slave camp where they're logging. They've got some folks that they've enslaved that are doing the logging for them. And that'll be a lesser house that came out and is basically trying to set up this enterprise, and is talking with the orcs as well. And then they're kind of there may be some stuff going on with the deep elves in this camp and maybe some of the other houses. And one of the things that you'll find when we start getting into the deep elf lore and you're doing some of the quests will be that the deep elf houses are always kind of screwing with each other and vying for power. So somebody may set up a little enterprise out here and some other ones may be looking to subvert it or take advantage of it. Oh, my torch just ran out. 16 undead and ghost treants and wisps coming out in this area. I think we'll probably have some wisps up here throughout though, just because they're really cool. And 10 ghosts and wisps. Ghosts will make their way kind of into some of these other areas as well at night. Maybe give them some long go-tos that kind of at night they spawn and then kind of move around here. And then we go back over to the west. 13 bandits have a roadblock on the main road, ? So somewhere up here on this path before we get to the giants. 14 giants, we're just looking at that. 11, mountain giant camp. Let's go ahead and move this now. Since, there we go. 3 on the other side of the hill, deep elven outposts down here in this valley that we haven't looked at much. And then 15 is drakes, so black drakes, golems, once we get them in, kind of roaming around and stuff like that. So that's our setup. And then NPCs that we were talking about using, we winnowed it down to large drakes, green and black in this zone, giants, mountain, and potentially forest. Giant treants, dead treants, giant wolves, bears, bats. Hey, Robert. Sojourners, poachers, bandits, orcs, deep elven outposts, so deep elves, some stone golems, maybe. These guys may get cut out of here and replaced with something else, I'll be honest with you. Both on timing and availability of the NPC and just kind of thematically. Lots of wisps. Some wood elves in different areas here. Maybe some wood elf rangers. The keepers making excursions out here. Ghosts of wood and deep elves. We don't have a squirrel model yet, so no mad squirrels. Undead and ghost treants. And goblins that we just added. So that's a reminder there. Cool. And yeah. So let's hit a couple of the notes before I forget that we had in the scene. So we'll go back into the scene, hop out of game. Robert, since you're here, we were looking at giants earlier. And we're thinking that it made sense if the giant, the footstep radius was even bigger. Oh, and then there was a second question if you're still here. But I don't know if he's still here. For sure, I've been thinking about that also lately. Want to hear them very far away. Nice, perfect, okay. And then the other question was, do you know if I scale up like a fire? Is this also scaling up a sound emitter? Let me look at the prefab. It is? Okay, cool. Campfire. WYs. We've had issues because of this? Uh-huh. I'm a scaler. I definitely scale some things. All right, so let's grab your notes before we wrap up. When we scale up objects 3, 4, 5 times, the sphere collider extends also. Yeah, I tend to, I mean, I only do that in pretty select areas with the fires, right? Like mainly just giant stuff. What I'll do off camera, guys, I'll probably add in a couple more of these huts. This winds up being a pretty big camp. So the deep elves will for sure, I think we'll have the deep elves over here. And maybe we'll even set up like a little path or something coming up here. And the deep elves are over here trying to do a little diplomacy and get the giants on board for their schemes. But the giants are kind of like, would we really work for you, little ones? Who's given who directions? So we're going to move this down a little bit. I think we moved it further than we even said we would, but I think lower is, erring on the side of lower is probably fine here. And we're going to make the axe a bit bigger. And then we'll bring it up so it stays visible. You come up here. Cool. We'll move a few of these guys down a bit. And I'll get more stumps in here as well later. And then we'll also have the felled tree. I made a note to get some felled trees because I think we'll basically do this kind of deal with it. Control D. See what it looks like. Yeah, see, it needs a bottom. Artists always be optimizing things, cutting faces, so they're not unnecessary faces, and yeah. And then we'll just have to, and it doesn't even need to touch the ground perfectly, right? Because it's got all the branches and stuff holding it up. So we'll do some of these guys. And it'll even make for some nice, nice kind of like obstruction, right? That's a great way to block line of sight in a zone. Cool. So, torches. So we fixed the axe in the stump over there for Wade. Let's toss some torches in here real quick. As the project goes, we may find that we make more torch varieties where, you know, that kind of looks like a giant's torch because it's made out of some crazy shit or whatever. We can always replace it. Placeable torch. Enraku, have a great weekend. Thanks for being here. Yeah, see you next week. Hopefully, pop on by. Do you have torches that fit a wall holder? We do, but I don't know if they're going to be the right ones for here. How are these guys different? See, Eastan. I'm not leaving yet. I still got a couple minutes, but Robert says has a nice burning wood vibe. This zone hazy, but a fog feeling, and it changes depending on where you're at. So we've actually got it set up. If you're down here, it's more like this. You know, of course, at night and things, it changes. Got a vibe as you're going up the hill. It gets mistier. And then when you go over like in these woods, it's mistier. So these woods have like a different feel, especially different times of day, like evening. So we got this kind of vibe here. And then we've got coming up here, you go up the hill, it gets kind of foggier, cloudier. I was in here when it started storming the other day. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. All right, so let's finish this whole... Hey, what's up, Rex? Brex said, my character needs a social score and I need other people to see it because I like to do good deeds all day for people. That makes me feel good. You can emphasize that. Bugsy the Troll is in fact a great player due to his social point. They're going to know, dude, they're going to know Bugsy. They're just going to know it because we're going to have nice static servers and server communities, right? They're going to know who you are. Just like an EQ. You don't have to worry about that. Quattro said, can't wait to have to guide my friends through these woods. All your friends are expert gamers. I don't imagine they're going to have any trouble. What race do you think we'll be working on next? I forget Zukin, what Zukin's starting on next. I think Zach is starting on Deep Gnomes next. Gamers that don't always pay. Yeah, Zach's currently on Deep Elf, then Deep Gnome. Gamers that don't always pay attention to visual cues. Yeah, I know. I'm not going to say anything. They're your friends. Visual cues. Adherence to appropriate naming policies. They were just testing the naming restrictions. The amount of disappointment you felt in John was real. I was hamming that up. It's all good. I mean, you know. I mean... I think he did have a point. I do think that the pet name... Wasn't that his excuse? The pet was a cloud, air elemental, so it started with a pet name of what, Cumulus or something like that. It all started when we realized how common air pets have a certain 3-letter word combo. Jasmine's over there laughing. She remembers. In front of my wife, John? In front of my wife? Imagine my surprise, zoning in, hidden, just observing. He didn't shorten the name to a nickname, so if it was Cumulus Cloud and he had just shortened it to Come, that'd be one thing. But Cumzilla. Why are you laughing? This is serious business. This is serious business that we do here. What do you do for a living? Well, I babysit juveniles. Just like the skate park. How long have I been doing this now? It started at the skate park. I've come full circle, yes. I never escaped. It's like Dante's Inferno. I only descend further into the deeper and deeper circles of dick jokes. I've come full circle, Robert said. What? Guess how he spelled it, Jasmine. You already know. This is game development, guys. I hope if you're new here that I can already hear you typing a message on Reddit as we speak. Jasmine was in the other room laughing, saying, as if you're the adult. What? I take that personally. We always ask people that join the team, we're like, have you watched any of the streams? Just a quick, have you watched any of the streams? To be honest, Sean, how many dicks have you drawn in the game? None. It's already covered. It's been well covered. I expressed my juvenile tendencies in other ways. Thank you. The lake was shaped like a foot. Completely different fetish. No, you can't, Cod. Especially you. You're on the team. That is verboten. Olo, pause. Cod, language. Listen, this is very much a do as I say, not as I do situation, sir. A doggy, thanks for the follow 1 hour ago. Why am I not hearing the... Did I just not have the sounds up? If you're still out there, doggy, I apologize. I wonder if this will cause any weird line of sight issues or anything else. We'll keep it as a reminder, though. We had talked about, like, COD. Language. All of you. Hey, just because it's almost stream overtime and it's Friday doesn't mean you need to get all randy. Alright, so we've got the torches in, we've got the axe in. Yeah, pineapple. If there's a giant hiding behind that tree when I'm pulling, I'm gonna lose it. Well, we were talking about giant rogues earlier, right? Cool. Alright, so we got this here. Zoom out. We'll grab one of these guys here. Can giant rogues use stealth, and how effective is it really? I know my big ass sucks at hide and seek. Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting question, right? I mean, what if there's stealth and then you still hear the footsteps? So, I think that's I do think that's fair. Kind of like this cabin by the lake setup here. So let's take this. Let's hop into here really quick. Should be a big walking tree bush that's actually a giant sneaking around. He's like in one of those Fortnite bushes. Did you ever use the bush in Fortnite? Closest you've done is cardboard box and Metal Gear Solid. Rare loot in the cabin is a manifesto written in crayon. A lonely giant intellectual writing of the dangers of technological growth. Only to find out, like, it'll be a quest. 30 years later, you'll find out he was completely right. Do we want to have more than one cabin, I guess? Might as well, right? We got space to use up. That was not it. That'll work. Cool. And then we'll just... The only thing this game needs now are cat people. Hey, good kitty. I feel like you may be biased. Happy Friday to you. Thanks for popping in. Alright, we'll hit save. Export. And we'll do another one. You're probably going to pull giants around, so let's leave enough room for you to actually be able to pull one around there without them clipping too bad. Stomp, 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 right? Yeah, that'll be enough to fit. And then I'm going to have this mine kind of set up here, so we'll sculpt around that a little bit, but we'll probably... Maybe, well, I guess we could have like a little path coming out here, going down to it. And then, do we like the orientation on this guy? If we're walking up from here. Cool. No, getting the giant stuck in the corner that we can't get through, and he tries to run back the other way. Yeah, we're gonna keep working on that. All the various pathing fun that you guys have been finding. How about a walrus pirate? Oh, eventually that'd be tight. Space walrus pirate. When we do some Spelljammer style stuff. Then we can have a giant, you know, the fishing. Doing some giant fishing, similar to Veil of Zentar. Save this bad boy a little bit. Yeah, and then we'll sculpt around. We've got to figure out what we're doing with regards to... Like, there's no hiding that. I'm going to increase the density of trees here so that there's a reveal, but it's not so obvious. So we've got these kind of trees as well, which do a pretty good job of eating up line of sight. So what I'll probably do is, like, I'll take these guys. There we go. Dupe them over. Rotate a bit, and then I'll start moving around individually to break things up. So use that as like the basis, and then what I like to do is grab them individually. Come in here, bring here, maybe scale a bit, drop it down. Kind of look cool. This guy here. Yeah, I liked them there. Make sure he's not clipping this mountain too much. Bring it forward. What are you doing up there, creeper? Kind of see what's going on here. Move him over. Now that we got these guys in, we can move these guys a little bit. Maybe have them along the perimeter a little more. Interspersed. come in here. Whoops. Down. He's got a distinct cant to him. So exciting to try and capture first moment when you enter a zone. It's a classic level of danger there was. Loose stuff, corpse run. Yeah, I mean, consequences. It's funny, man, the arguments I've seen against it, which is you're basically, in having corpse runs, you're discouraging exploration. Hey, Bill. We were just talking about you earlier. What were you talking about earlier? What did we want from Bill? There was a Bill thing. Jasmine is feeling better. Thank you, buddy. She just said thank you. We were talking about Nicodemus. Scarabs in the quarry. Thank you. Beetles. People have been asking for the beetles back around the quarry. Just have them not be social. They like the lights and stuff. There's some feedback in Discord. Nomer knows what's up. Also, hey, great job on items. I was looking at your items earlier. And, dude, you knocked them out very fast and very cool stuff in there. I think we have found another another niche that you excel in. But exploration should be discouraged to a degree. It makes it more commodity, explorers that is. Yeah, I mean, it's like the arguments that I hear are so, I don't know. They just feel maybe so of a certain personality type, and I don't want to, I don't want to generalize or whatever, but it's like there's a possibility that I could fail, so I don't want to do it. And if you put in stuff where you can, if there's consequences and danger, then it's like, then people aren't going to do it. I'm like, not everybody is you, homie. Like, some people some people are, they like the thrill of like, oh, I'm exploring shit and it's dangerous, and that means that everybody is probably not been here yet, right? Like, I don't know. It's just, I'm not even gonna go off on a rant on it. Yeah, Brex, this is still M&M, buddy. Make sure to make the trees like Awakening Lands EQ, where you can just run, AFK run straight through. Oh. "65 miles from Cleveland, almost there." Nice. Yeah, a few of the guys are meeting up in Ohio this weekend. Very excited for them. Looking around the unknown quarter needs to be at risk. Yeah, right? Like, I mean, that's part of the thrill of it. I literally cannot wait to punch my screen because of losing a quarter experience bar to repeated deaths. Not sarcasm. I know. Some people really do enjoy it. Did you know that folks in Cincinnati put cinnamon in their chili? Mind-blowing. I could see that. Yankees. DC Raid Boss says, I love discovering the Manor of Unrest is such an epic zone located in another hostile zone. Super rewarding to first discover it. Yeah. Yeah. So I think we're going to see some of that. We'll see some people continue to provide the feedback of outdated mechanics, lazy design, blah, blah, blah. But it really is like, you know, just when you see them out there, do your best to politely inform them that, you know, some people do like it, and that's who we made the game for. We'll have to put some stumps over here as well. Are they doing a meetup for fans too? I don't know. I don't know. That is entirely up to them as to how brave they are. I want a game that doesn't have a big go button or the I win button. Yes, some things I complain about, but that's a challenge to hopefully overcome. Yeah. Hope you, at some point, you guys add a zone that is really spooky and almost horror-like. Oh, don't worry. It's already on the map. Well, that region's on the map. Cool. So hit save on this as well. Good stuff. Is Zukin, are any of you guys streaming this evening? So I need to add the cinder beetles back to the ledge of the quarry. Single pulls. It sounds like it. Are you doing that right now, or? Waiting for me to end to start. Do you want me to, I mean, I could just raid you. Say, cut out the middleman. Okay, yeah, I'm about to call. It's 11:20 here. So once you get rolling, let me know. Then we'll say our good nights and good weekends, and then I'll hop over and raid you and folks that are actually going to do something on a Friday other than sit around at work and pretend to work and watch Twitch. You know, naturally you can do that, but the rest of you, quiet quitters, slackers. See ya, coot. Are you able to do higher density with small aggro range? Messing with aggro range is no bueno. It can kind of mess up some stuff. But if they're no aggro, if they're not social, maybe they're just like silly beetles. All right, we'll start saying our goodnights, but hang out there if you want to be a part of the raid. We're gonna raid Zukin. You can check out what he's doing. And yeah, so we'll start saying our goodnights now, but then Zukin is gonna spin up his stream and then we're gonna raid him. Doggeroni, have a good weekend. You're welcome. Brex, good night, Grandpa. See you, nerve-wracked. Viro. Adios. Doggeroni, Stonelistic, Gunnerwolf, Sneers, Chas Solo, Arthax. Did I miss somebody up there? I feel like I did. I did. Keyframe. Caesar. Oh, cool. Thank you. Thank you, Zukin. Is your stream up now, Zukin? Olo, see you. I'm glad you popped in. It's always good to see you when you pop in. Thadvik. Yeah, the next test is not this weekend, the following weekend. Starts on the 27th. Those of you that aren't in our Discord, you should be so that you can get all the information on that. See you, Robert. We got to catch up sometime soon, Robert. Darius, see you. Soldier, see you. Did I already say? I think, yeah, I was talking to Thadvik about playtest. Worn out. See you, buddy. All right, stream is up. Nomer, see you as well. All right. Sinris. Take care. Advar. Quados. See you guys on Tuesday, maybe. I'll be here again Tuesday. I'll work on this over the weekend a little bit. We'll have some new stuff to look at. We'll have some spawns going as well. Sinris, if I think I just said it. XD. All right, let's raid. Let's go ahead and raid. It should just be at the top of my raid list. Come on. Come on, Twitch. Start raid. Raiding now. All right, see you guys.